Today, every day, small cap investors visit Agoracom knowing this is the day to discover the world's next great company, to have their dreams come true. That's why I take to the open road, to find them, to tell their stories, to engage them, to bring them to life, because they want to connect with you from your office, your phone, your home, anywhere. Agoracom, find your dream.
Welcome to Beyond the Press Release, a production of Agoracom in which we take the time to speak with small cap executives about recent important news. With us today, I'm happy to have again Peter Pascali. He's President and CEO of PyroGenesis Canada. The company trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under the stock symbol PYR. In the US, under the stock symbol PYRNF. You can find them on the web at pyrogenesis.com and obviously on Agoracom. Now, I've often referred to Peter as Canada's Elon Musk. Here's why, for those of you who are new to the story. PyroGenesis, first of all, is a TSX Venture 50 company. That gives them a lot of credibility as to what they're doing over there. And they're the world leader in advanced plasma processes. More than just lip service. And to talk about that, their technology is already used on US aircraft carriers to vaporize waste, as well as successfully tested by DARPA to destroy chemical weapons. And as you know, DARPA is the division responsible for researching responsible development of emerging technologies for use by the military. Their titanium powders are being used for advanced 3D printing. They were nominated Materials Company of the Year at the 3D Printing Industry Awards in 2018. And that's because they've already received some major orders and interest from some of the world's biggest companies, including NDAs with some of the world's largest airplane engine manufacturers. And finally, their DROSRITE system, which maximizes metal recovery from waste generated in the metallurgical industry, is achieving some great success just recently in India, and today another delivery, and that's what we're here to discuss. Peter, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me back, George. Glad to be here.
Well, we keep having you back as much as I may not want to, because you keep putting out this fantastic news, and it's significant. So I'm going to read the headline today. Yep. PyroGenesis announces second DROSRITE furnace system ready for shipment. Now, before we talk about that, Peter, DROSRITE is not something that's very well known. Even I'm getting my hands wrapped around it. Briefly explain to everyone at home that doesn't know about this yet, what is DROSRITE and what are you guys doing in that space?
So DROSRITE is a salt-free, cost-effective, sustainable method to recover a valuable metal from a waste stream in the metallurgical industry called dross. So it could be aluminum, copper, zinc. Dross is formed when the hot metal comes off the smelter and comes in contact with oxygen. There's a scum that's formed at the top called dross, and effectively it's like a sponge. It sucks up the aluminum that's in the that's in there. So what they do is they scoop it off the top and put it to the side. But as I said, there's valuable metal in there, and they look at ways at recovering that valuable metal. And typically, what they've done in the past is they send it off site to a third party, who typically uses a salt recovery system to recover that valuable metal. And there is the problem, because if salt comes in contact with aluminum smelter, it contaminates the whole batch. So the fact that our DROSRITE system is salt-free is a huge advantage. On top of that, we've demonstrated in the first sale that we made over a year ago that we can get over 20% higher recovery of metal. We can do it, operating costs are significantly lower than traditional methods, under $100 a ton compared to $250 to $350. What's real significant about the second delivery, George, is the fact that this is a reorder, but it's a reorder from an existing client, which underscores the success of the process.
And now this is a North American auto parts manufacturer.
Correct.
It's a pretty, now you can't tell us the name, we know that, but it's obviously got to be someone of significant size, because you're just not an auto parts manufacturer unless you've got significant weight. What does this mean to the company's reputation in the industry, knowing that you've got auto parts manufacturers that are not only ordering but reordering, because you're able to do it cheaper and recover more, so your ROI is much better than anybody else? what does that mean for the reputation of the company and future sales and future prospects?
Well, the fact that it is a credible player in the industry, they are a credible player in their own right in their space. It gives us a lot of credibility when it comes to trying to get over that hurdle, that credibility hurdle with potential clients. Very few people are accepting of the fact that we use a salt-free process. They're incredulous. So having somebody order and then reorder a system gives us a lot of weight in the industry.
So are you almost, or were you almost a victim of your own success because people didn't believe you could do it salt-free, and now you're proving it?
That was a significant hurdle. And in fact, even though we've got 2 orders coming from the same client, many potential clients wish to visit the site and see it actually in operation. And we have a good relationship with our client, and that's obviously that's a potential
further stream. Now I want to address that because in the press release, I'm reading a quote here. That's why I'm reading, so pardon my read. But quote from you: additional sales, which have been described in previous press releases, are expected to be concluded and to contribute significantly to the company's bottom line. So is this part of the process where you got other customers who want to take a look at the second systems and they're already far down the path, and you expect a lot of those to start closing?
Yeah, we've got a very strong pipeline, George. What we've mentioned in the past is that we have our demonstration system fully booked out for paid-for demonstrations in India right now, where there's a lot of smelters, and we've targeted those smelters that have multiple facilities that require a DROSRITE system. In fact, I think we mentioned that what we call client A, or potential client A, who's paid for the demonstrations, has a potential immediate need for 6 systems. There's another client B who's asked us actually to go into zinc. So the system currently is going from client A to client B as we speak, and then it's going to go back to client A to a separate facility who has to make an independent decision. So as I mentioned before, lots of systems in the pipeline. We're very excited, very, very, very excited about where we are with respect to selling systems to smelters in the industry.
And there's a question I have, playing devil's advocate, that from the time you announced the potential delivery, it's been about 9 months. So is there a reason why it took so long, and do you expect that process to now speed up?
Well, yeah, that's a very interesting question, because we've announced that it typically takes like 4 to 5 months. This one, as I said, took us by surprise. We did not expect a reorder from this existing client until they had about 9 months, a year's experience under their belt. And lo and behold, within 3 or 4 months, they put in a second order, which took us as a bit by surprise. It was in November. There's the Christmas holidays and whatnot, and there wasn't a pressure by the client to move it quicker than that. So that's why we're delivering it now. However, we could deliver within 4 to 5 months a system from beginning to end, and recognize that we could do multiple systems at the same time. We don't have to do them in series. We can do it in parallel. And as we get our legs under us, we'll be ordering parts in advance of orders. Once we get the confidence up that there's a pipeline that's continuous and is there down the road, we'll do advanced purchases.
So are these some of the sales you referred to in the quote we talked about earlier with additional sales?
Yes. Yes.
What's a reasonable timeline? Is 4, 5, 6 months a reasonable timeline for additional? Again, not that we don't want you to give any projections or things like that, but
to close the
these additional sales that you're expecting.
Oh, they should be closing. We expect them to close. We expect them to close as of now. So we expect them to be by the end of the year. But then we have this tolling new business line for tolling, which is impacting our conversations with these very same clients, because now we offer something else. So that's created another delay.
Right, but is that a good delay?
Oh, most certainly a good delay. Oh, yeah.
All right, so let's talk about that. And
sure.
I'm going to read it here. It says, the company announced today that's in discussion with several smelters to provide on-site DROS tolling services under long-term take-or-pay contracts. Now, to be clear, and this makes sense, but for everyone at home, right now you're currently set up to to sell these DROSRITE systems to these big companies. But now you're also looking at, there are companies that may not want to take on a DROS system. And that's common because most big corporations like to outsource a lot of stuff.
That's right.
Companies that don't have transportation trucks and drivers because they don't want to be in that space where they outsource it. So Is this a logical extension here? And how does it impact the current prospects that you have? Can they be mutually exclusive and operate successfully? Or is there a risk that they cannibalize each other?
Absolutely not. I mean, absolutely not to the cannibalization comment. They work very well together because we found that, yes, there are smelters that would embrace operating a system on their site. There are many who, as you said, would prefer not to be involved in it. It's not their knitting. Sell it to someone, give it off to somebody else. And these smelters would embrace tolling either on-site or off-site. And right now what we're targeting is the on-site, the smelters that have an appetite for doing it on-site because there's certain advantages by having the first ones on-site.
So you'd have them on-site, but you and your partners would be operating it, and the company, the client, wouldn't be purchasing and paying for it all up front, but more like just a constant revenue stream, like a
that's right. They give us
software as a service.
That's right. We would have a take or pay contract from them. They give us the dross, and depending on whether we buy the dross from them and sell the metal into the marketplace or recover some and give it to them at a price, that's all negotiable. But that's the basic idea. That's a basic idea. So what we'd be doing is we'd be selling to those that want to operate them themselves, and those that don't, we'd be offering them a tolling alternative.
Right, and that to me makes a lot of. I didn't even know that was an option for you guys. Quite frankly, when we spoke about dross before, my assumption, I'm not a dross guy, and a lot of shareholders probably aren't as well. The assumption was you sell a system to an existing, someone in the steel smelting business or whatever the case may be. But is it safe to say, Peter, that adding the tolling option, the recurring revenue, so it's not a big upfront sale, but it's a, potentially a perpetual ongoing revenue stream for you, opens up doors before that weren't available to you up until now?
And a huge recurring revenue stream. You can imagine that the facilities that we're selling the system to have a 1-year payback or less. And we're making a hefty margin on it. So you can imagine if we're building it ourselves, the type of recurring revenue we're getting towards. And again, it's year in, year out. It's a way of securing our position in the marketplace with a recurring revenue stream. This is very, very exciting for us. And if we can convert one of those contracts, which we were going to sell, that we had projected to sell up to now, and we can convert that into a tolling contract, it's well worth the delays we're experiencing right now.
Yeah, and that would provide the company with much greater stability, right? Much greater visibility, stability going forward, because when you have the recurring revenues, like for example, you mentioned in your last press release with respect to your financial results, that depending on the quarter and what products sold, it can significantly adjust revenue and gross margins because, depending on what you sold on margin at, it can fluctuate. But this would flatten things up for you and make running the business a lot easier.
Yeah, so take it one step further, George. If we can get enough of these type of contracts, and they're usually long-term contracts that the smelters like to get involved in, they don't want the risk of price variations, and you get enough of them under your belt, it's like an annuity, and you could actually bundle them, monetize that revenue stream with a hefty return to the company.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. In fact, I mean, just like the subprime, even though it's not subprime, back then they would bundle these revenue, apparently revenue, which they weren't. In this case, they obviously are because not fraudulent mortgages. But you could actually monetize them right away. So if you
it's what banks do with typical residential mortgages.
Right. So you could put these together, and if you're generating $2 in annual in recurring revenue, you can actually sell them for $8 or $9 or $10 right off.
Exactly.
Get the cash and let the banks take the recurring revenue, whereas you get flush with cash. So I like that. And now you're not going to do this alone, though. So I'm going to read again.
Yeah.
You're in active discussions with a potential partner. You're potentially establishing a joint venture. And you also say further down that teaming up with a large multinational corporation would make a lot of sense as well. So are you having multiple conversations with potential partners and JVs in this, or is it one entity that you're kind of referring to throughout?
There's one entity I'm referring to in this press release, but I don't think it would be, I think we'd have to look at who's out there and what they want to offer. What we would like to do is team up with somebody who has the management and administrative expertise to handle multiple contracts or in various locations around the world with the different labor laws, etc. And if they brought in also some contacts to accelerate the sales process, that would be ideal. In fact, George, I'll share with you, they're here today. As we speak, they're downstairs in our conference room talking to us about this.
Okay, I was going to ask, how far advanced are these discussions? Because a lot of times CEOs will talk about these things, but they're just initial tertiary discussions. So
no, this is
how far. So you're talking about potential partners are already.
Yeah, we're talking right now about the structure and what the benefits would be, and it's not going to be signed tomorrow. That's for sure. It's not going to be signed in the near term. It's going to be a bit of a process going back and forth to make sure we got it all nailed out. What we would like as an ideal process is we're selling into the marketplace. So we're going to sell to people who want to buy, or we will sell to the joint venture, and then that joint venture would do the tolling, and we'd have a piece of that as well. We'd have a piece of that tolling company and benefit from from that business as well.
So last question for you, because those are all my specifics with respect to what I saw in the press release and want to kind of drill down on. How does the next 6 to 12 months look as a result of this press release, discussions that are taking place, tolling and all those things? How much better is your outlook for the company over the next 6 to 12 months than it was just a few months ago?
From the perspective of DROSRITE, again, last year this time, we did not expect to get a second order until the first one was complete, September, October, and wait a year. That's accelerated. I think it was in November we signed the second contract. We're delivering it now. There's lots of excitement in India, paid for demonstrations from big companies who have significant needs, not just one-offs. So we're very, very excited about it. Now we're going to a recurring revenue stream that we, again, didn't think it was going to happen until next year, because we lack the depth, we lack the experience, we lack the management and administrative abilities in its various geographic regions. We can do it slower, but now we've identified somebody who we were talking about other things with, and they have this capability, and became very excited about what we're doing in DROSRITE. And it was a natural progression. It seems to be a natural progression from what we were doing. We're supplying equipment to smelters. Oh, guess what? We could actually do the tolling as well. It's not that difficult. Did we think we'd be here as we're talking about this, George, last year when we spoke? Absolutely not. At this time last year, absolutely not. So with respect to DROSRITE, it's become the little engine that's come out of left field, and it's going to be contributing, as I said, significantly to the profitability of the company in short order. We're very excited about what's happening here. We're taking a very conservative approach. We're not jumping into tolling on our own. It's just the way we are. We take a very conservative approach, and we are looking for that recurring revenue stream, which is hidden in most of our business lines, but we just got to tap into it.
And I got to tell you, I'll leave it off with a little color from me. I've been doing this for 20 years. If DROSRITE was all you had inside of PyroGenesis,
it's a business, a huge business.
It would make PyroGenesis a very exciting, strong company with a lot to look forward to. Now, we're not going to get into the other things, but you've got multiple other lines of business, and that's why I say to everyone, and I'm not joking, when I say you are Canada's small cap version of Elon Musk, or as you like to say, Peter Pascali is America's version or Elon Musk Peter Pascali. But all kidding aside, it's just incredible, because it's very hard for small cap companies to have a successful one line of business. And you're doing it on multiple fronts, so that's why we love having you on here.
That's one of the challenges right now, George. It seems like the business lines are all taking off. The U.S. Navy, it seems like they're ordering two aircraft carriers this year instead of one. Out of manufacturing, we got a 10-ton order the other day, and we're working on others. There's this on the DROSRITE. HPQ is also doing very well. So everything's taking off roughly around the same time, which is an embarrassment of riches, and it's creating its own challenges. But we're managing it very carefully, very conservatively, and teaming up with people who can help us is probably the smartest way to go about it. And that's what we're exploring with DROSRITE, as we spoke about today.
Well, Peter, congratulations again. It's July the 31st, and most people are on vacation and things are slow, and you're making big announcements like this. So congratulations again to you and the team, and continued success and good luck, because I'm sure we're going to have you on a number of times between now and the end of the year.
Well, certainly, George, and thanks a lot for taking your time to interview me.
No, have to. Hey, when it's this kind of news, all kidding aside, the market has to know. You've been
Excellent.
watching Peter Pascali. Yeah, absolutely. You've been watching Peter Pascali. He's president and CEO of PyroGenesis Canada. The company trades on the TSX Venture Exchange on the stock symbol PYR. For our friends in the UF on the US, it trades on the OTCQB under PYRNF. You can find out more information about the company at its website, pyrogenesis.com. But get to Agoracom as well, punch in the company's name or stock symbol. You can take a look at all the videos we've done, all the information, profile information, nice and neatly packaged. And most importantly, Peter is using that as a social media platform, a moderate environment to have great discussions with investors, answering their questions. And I think that's one of the best things I've ever seen a CEO do, taking the time out to answer those questions. In public, everyone sees a question, everyone sees the answer, full transparency. Thanks, everyone. Have a fantastic day. See you next time.